This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Hi, I'm Bob Severs, and I'm the a co-owner here and the president of the Owen Sound Attack. We knew we had a great group of guys coming back, and some senior players and some people who had made a real impact in the league the year before, so we were hopeful.
We had the pieces. Did we believe maybe at the beginning of the year that we could get it done? You know, I think from a coaching staff, you have to believe that.
When other management people around the league talked to us, they didn't share the same thoughts about our team at all.
Going into this season, training camp, you would have never expected to win the OHL Championship, and like I said, we proved a lot of people wrong, and it's just a huge honor to be a part of it.
To be honest with you, I didn't know what was going to happen. Obviously, I knew we had some really good talent on the team, and we just kind of went with the flow.
In every series we went into, we were pretty much underdogs, and everyone was saying that the other team was going to win. And to think about the run we had almost gives you goosebumps every time you do, because it was unbelievable.
As we moved through the season, we just continued to get better, and you know, we worked hard for each other. We believed in one another. You know, when things didn't go our way, we, you know, more or less motivated ourselves by saying, you know, we have to battle against all odds. And you know, being a small market team, sometimes you do, but we did that.
I think this hockey team, again, because a lot of people picked us to be right at the bottom of the heap last year, when they started to win, Dale DeGray described this as the little engine that could. And we were chugging up that hill. And when we got a couple of very special wins a little later in the season, that little train went over the top and just started to pick up speed, and it was quite clear as we entered the playoffs that it was going to be very difficult to stop it.
The 2010-2011 Ontario Hockey League season was the greatest in the history of the Owen Sound franchise. The Attack went 46-17, losing one game in overtime and suffering 4 other defeats in shootouts over a 68-game schedule. The final tally of 97 points for Owen Sound established a franchise record for points. Over the course of the season, there were many games that stood out. In early November at Guelph, Owen Sound trailed the Storm 3-0 with less than 3 minutes to play. The Attack would rally to tie that game in regulation on a goal by Robbie McNarty with just 50 seconds to play, and then won it, incredibly, in overtime on a point shot from overage defender Matt Stanish. The success in that game against Guelph underscored some pivotal moments for the Attack against division and geographic rivals. Owen Sound was 6-2 head-to-head with Guelph. The Attack won all 6 games in their crossover series with the Barrie Colts. Owen Sound also finished with a terrific mark of 5-1 head-to-head against the Kitchener Rangers. The Attack Rangers race came to a head on Friday, March the 11th. Playing in front of Canadian Prime Minister Stephen Harper and more than 6,500 Ranger fans, the Attack rode a clutch shorthanded goal by Joey Hishin, which gave Owen Sound a 3-2 lead they would not relinquish and virtually clinched their first division crown. From Kitchener on home, Owen Sound finished the regular season in style, winning 8 of their last 10, including back-to-back victories at home on the final 2 Saturday nights of the regular season. However, of all the teams in the Midwest Division and Western Conference, Owen Sound had the most difficulty with the London Knights, splitting their 6-game series with 3 wins apiece. Guess who Owen Sound would meet in the opening round of the 2011 Ontario Hockey League playoffs? The cliche in hockey is that the playoffs are a whole different season. The Attack won the Western Conference Championship in the regular season for the first time in franchise history, while the Knights, a perennial contender over the last decade, limped in, taking the 8th and final playoff spot in the conference. When the puck dropped March 25th at the Harry Lumley Bayshore, none of that mattered, and the Knights played a near-perfect road game, using stellar goalkeeping from Michael Hauser, forcing the opening game in the best-of-7 to overtime. In an ironic twist, the Knights called a timeout early in overtime in order to get their top checkers out against Owen Sound's top unit. The puck had barely touched the ice when Andrew Fritsch and Joey Hishin combined to get the puck to Garrett Wilson, and Wilson sunk the overtime winner.
Scores! Garrett Wilson, the hero! The Attack win Game 1!
The joy of victory was short-lived. The following night, at the Labatt Center, Seth Griffith scored on a power play only 19 seconds into the game, and Hauser was solid again, blocking 50 shots as the Knights would tie the series 1-1 with a well-earned 5-1 victory.
We are underway.
Game 3 back at the Bayshore on March 19th saw London count 3 more power play goals and hold a 3-1 lead early into the second period. However, the Attack would rally with 3 goals in a 4-minute span in the second period to take the lead, and then padded it with an empty netter by Liam Heelis late in the third to win 5-3 and regain the series lead. On the last day of March, back in London at the John Labatt Center, Owen Sound would open the scoring on a goal by Keeban Cutting. But the Knights showed their resiliency and fired 5 straight markers and cruised to a 5-2 win to once again tie the series, this time at 2 wins apiece. Games 5 and 6 in the series were staged on back-to-back days, Saturday, April 2nd in Owen Sound, and the following afternoon at London. Prior to Game 5, Owen Sound made a shuffle in goal, inserting former Knights first-rounder Michael Zador into the net against his former club. After a scoreless first period in Game 5, the Attack offense finally cracked Michael Hauser, exploding for 4 second-period goals en route to a 6-0 win. Zador did not yield a marker for 51 minutes, and then was replaced for the final 9 minutes by backup netminder Scott Stager, who was returning from a serious leg injury and was seeing his first action in 4 months. Owen Sound now had 3 wins and had utilized 3 netminders to do so, the proverbial 3-headed monster. The following afternoon at the Labatt Center, both Zador and Hauser were perfect in goal, neither surrendering a marker, and it looked as if Game 6, like Game 1 in this series, was headed for overtime. However, with less than 2 minutes to play, Andrew Shaw and Michael Helmo worked their grinding magic along the boards in the London end, freeing the puck for Robbie McNarty, who would drain a backhander to give the Attack a 1-0 victory and a 4-2 series win, their first ever playoff defeat of London in a best-of-7.
And the Owen Sound Attack defeat the London Knights and takes the series 4-2 as they win it 1-0.
First round against London, I mean, a lot of people are saying that, well, there's definitely an upset coming. And I mean, London played a great series against us, and it definitely could have been. But I mean, we found a way, and we battled hard. And I mean, to get it done in 6 in their rink was definitely a confidence booster for us.
The Western Conference semifinals would pit the 2-time defending Memorial Cup champion Windsor Spitfires against Saginaw, while the Attack were matched up against the Plymouth Whalers. The Whalers, like the London Knights in round 1, would open the series in Owen Sound with a near-perfect road game at the J.D. MacArthur Arena on Thursday, April 7th. Plymouth led 3-1 at the midway point of Game 1, before Liam Heelis would start the comeback with a goal in the second period, and Garrett Wilson would score the tying goal for Owen Sound with just 8 minutes to play in the third. Like the London series, Game 1 of this best-of-7 was going to overtime. Almost 15 minutes elapsed before Jesse Blacker spun quickly at the side of the Whalers' net and scored the game winner. 2 nights later, this time at the CompuWare Sports Arena, again the Whalers played a near-perfect game, holding a 2-0 lead late into the second period. However, in less than a 1-minute span, the Attack would tie the score, first on a deflection by Andrew Shaw, and then Heelis would score another key goal in this series to tie the game. In the third period, Roman Berdnikov finished a nice setup just 4 minutes into the third to give Owen Sound a 3-2 lead, a lead they would never surrender as they took a 2-0 lead in the series. Losing 2 leads in the opening 2 games seemed to harpoon the Whalers and their spirit. They lost games 3 and 4 by identical 4-1 counts. Overage Robbie McNarty would score twice in Game 3 at the Bayshore, and then Owen Sound would complete the sweep with another 4-1 victory at Plymouth in Game 4. Netminder Stager had a shutout for almost 59 minutes in Game 4 before the Whalers finally cracked him, but it was too little, too late for Mike Bellucci's squad, and the Attack won their 6th straight playoff contest and gained a berth in the Western Conference Championship Series for the first time since 1999.
Plymouth had a very good hockey team last year, and when we played them, I think the best word to describe what happened was we just overwhelmed them. In the third period of the games that we won against Plymouth, it was no contest. The attack just basically ran them out of the arena. And I think at that point I thought, holy smokes, like if we just keep getting better like this, anything could happen here.
After disposing of Saginaw in the other semifinal series, the Windsor Spitfires had just one day off between the final game of that series and the opener of the Western Final at the Bayshore in Owen Sound. The Spitfires, in fairness, left a lot of their energy at home as they were hammered 8-1 in Game 1 by the Attack. Joey Hishin and Andrew Shaw both scored twice, as the Attack scored 6 times in a 23-minute span to blow open a 2-1 game. 2 nights later back in Windsor, Tom Kuhnackel would open the scoring and close the evening in a 4-2 Windsor victory. Kuhnackel scored on a power play just 43 seconds into that game, and then sealed the deal with an empty netter with only 40 seconds to play, as the Spits squared the series at 1 win apiece and snapped a terrific run of 7 straight playoff victories by the Attack. Game 3, the Saturday of Easter weekend in Owen Sound, saw the two clubs go back and forth, tied 3-3 going to the third period. Alexander Koklachev gave the Spits a 4-3 lead early in the third, and it appeared that Owen Sound would drop their first home game of the playoffs. But holding a narrow 1-goal lead with less than 5 minutes to play, Jake Carrick delivered a blow to the head of Jesse Blacker after a stoppage of play, giving the Attack a late power play opportunity. Garrett Wilson scored with that man advantage to tie the game at 4, and overtime looked unavoidable. However, on the ensuing shift, Windsor's Zach Cassian, high-stick Kevin Cutting, sending the Attack right back to a power play once again. And again, Wilson would score to give the Attack a 1-goal lead with 3 minutes to play. With Windsor netminder Jack Campbell on the bench for an extra attacker, Jesse Blacker worked the puck to Wilson, who got it to Robbie McNarty, who sealed a 6-4 Owen Sound victory with an empty netter, giving the Attack a 2-1 series lead. While McNarty was sinking the empty netter at one end of the ice, far behind the play, Cassian took matters into his own hand, knocking Blacker to the ice and then cross-checking the Attack defender while he was lying on the ice surface. The act drew a game misconduct for Cassian and eventually a 4-game suspension, meaning he could not return to the series against Owen Sound should it go the distance. On Monday, April 25th, the Attack took advantage of Cassian's absence to post a 3-2 win and secure a 3-1 lead in this best-of-7. Attack captain Garrett Wilson contributed a goal and an assist, and Owen Sound headed back home with a chance to advance to the OHL Championship Series for the first time in franchise history. Game 5 in Owen Sound was tied 2-2 after 1 period of play. Attack defender Matt Petgrave had one of the 2 Owen Sound goals, but Petgrave was just warming up. In the second period, the former Ice Dog scored 2 more goals, giving him the hat trick, and Owen Sound had a 4-2 lead with only 20 minutes to play. The third period saw the Attack bombard Windsor's Jack Campbell, scoring 6 more times en route to a series-clinching 10-4 victory. Now the Owen Sound Attack, located in the smallest market in the Ontario Hockey League, were bound not only for their first ever OHL Championship Series, but also for their first berth in the Memorial Cup. The opponent for the Attack in the Robertson Cup Final, the Eastern champion St. Mike's Majors, were also the Memorial Cup hosts, which meant regardless of the outcome of the Championship Series, both the Attack and the Majors were guaranteed their spot in the MasterCard Memorial Cup coming up in May at Mississauga.
The Western Conference champions for the 2010-2011 season, the Owen Sound Attack.
With their positions in the Memorial Cup already confirmed, there was some suggestion the Majors and the Attack might play a brother-in-law type series, cut back on the intensity, and save themselves for the National Championship Tournament. As it turned out, nothing could have been further from accurate. After the clubs played tentatively to a 1-1 tie in the opening period of Game 1 on Tuesday, May 3rd, the Majors would explode for 3 goals in the second period, including 2 in a 43-second span by Casey Cizikas and Chris D'Souza. Devontae Smith-Pelly would score twice in a 5-2 Majors win, and Majors captain Cizikas could have made the margin even greater, except he was denied on a penalty shot attempt in the second period. Robbie McNarty had both goals for Owen Sound, who headed home now, hoping to tie the Robertson Cup Final at 1. Owen Sound's emotional level was sky high for Game 2. Maybe too high. St. Mike's capitalized on 2 first-period power play opportunities to take a very quick 2-0 lead before the game was 8 minutes old. However, McNarty and Jesse Blacker would tie the game at 2 within a 24-second span midway through the first period, and the teams headed to the dressing rooms tied 2-2 after a very heated first period. A quick goal by an opportunistic Justin Shugg, his second of the game, 42 seconds into the second period, gave the Majors a lead they would never surrender on this night. St. Mike's got 2 more goals from Jordan Mayer and finished with 4 power play goals plus an empty netter in a 6-2 final. At the completion of Game 2, both teams immediately loaded their buses and headed right back to Mississauga, the Majors confident with a 2-0 series lead, the Attack facing the daunting task of winning 4 of the next 5 games remaining in the series. The odds certainly were stacked against the Attack. Game 3 in the OHL Final was Friday, May 6th and featured wild swings. Andrew Shaw, with his first of the night, gave Owen Sound their first lead in this championship series just 5 minutes in. However, Rob Flick, Max Kitson, and Smith Pelly of the Majors would score 3 power play goals in the first period on new Attack starter Michael Zador, and the teams again would be tied after 1 period, this time 3-3. Shaw's second goal of the night midway through the second period again gave Owen Sound the lead and a touch of confidence. Shortly after Shaw scored, Michael Halmo would work his way out of the corner and scored on a backhand to give Owen Sound a 5-3 lead going to the third period. The Majors made it close early in the third when defender Brett Fleming's lengthy floater beat a screen Michael Zador 90 seconds in, and St. Mike's was within 1 goal and the tension level went way up. With just over 5 minutes to play, the Majors jammed the front of the net, and after a lengthy video review, Smith Pelly was awarded a goal, his second of the game, and the teams were once again tied, this time 5-5, and heading to extra time. St. Mike's was within 1 shot of grabbing a stranglehold 3-0 lead in the series if they could score in overtime. And overtime would be short. In the opening minute, Owen Sound's Matt Petgrave intercepted a dump out by the Majors in the neutral zone, waited just long enough for teammate Garrett Wilson to scramble back and stay onside, and then Petgrave crossed the line and released a low shot that appeared to be redirected by a Majors backchecker and beat a stunned J.P. Anderson in the Majors net. Owen Sound was on the board in the series with an overtime victory, a back-and-forth 6-5 affair. It certainly wouldn't be the final time these clubs went to OT. 2 days later in Owen Sound, Sunday, May 8th, again with Rogers Sportsnet broadcasting the game, the Majors and the Attack went to overtime at the jam-packed J.D. MacArthur Arena. Unlike Game 3, this game was tight checking, and goaltenders Anderson and Zador refused to be beaten. 55 minutes elapsed into the game, and Anderson created his own offense, moving the puck ahead to Justin Shugg. Shugg would fire it into the Owen Sound zone and hustled after his dump-in. He managed to get to the puck first and then slide it past Zador, giving the defensively sound Majors a 1-0 lead with less than 5 minutes to play. The St. Mike's lead would last less than a minute. The Majors were fingered for a tripping infraction, and on the ensuing power play, Robbie McNarty would get his 5th of the series to tie the game at 1. Sending the Attack fans into a frenzy and sending the second consecutive game in this championship series to sudden death overtime. The overtime period for both teams was far more cautious and much longer than Game 3. At the 16-minute mark, the Majors were applying pressure in the Attack zone. Owen Sound forward Cameron Brace attempted to check the Majors' point man, but missed his man, allowing the Majors to keep possession, but only for a moment. The puck somehow slid to Attack forward Joey Hishin, who fired a crisp pass to Brace, whose momentum from missing the check only a split second earlier had taken him into the neutral zone. And now Brace was all alone on a clear-cut breakaway.
He scores! Series is even!
Game 5 of the Robertson Cup was Tuesday, May 10th at the Hershey Center in Mississauga. The Majors, looking to shake the upstart Attack, roared out of the gate and grabbed a 2-0 lead before the 10-minute mark on goals by Rob Flick and Justin Shugg. The quick lead forced Attack coach Mark Reeds to switch his netminders, inserting Scott Stager in place of Michael Zador. Stager was no more successful as Maxim Kitson and Devontae Smith-Pelly of the Majors potted 2 more goals in the next 6 minutes, giving the home side a commanding 4-0 lead by the 15-minute mark. The drama and excitement of games 3 and 4 was gone, erased by the early Mississauga onslaught. But the attack would fight back. At the 17-minute mark of the first, Jared Maidens got Owen Sound on the board with his 4th goal of the playoffs. Then Kevin Cutting followed with a second Owen Sound goal before the end of the first period, and suddenly a 4-goal deficit had been cut in half.
Big chance, scores! Cutting! And the Majors cannot clear the puck!
There was no scoring in the second period, but Owen Sound managed to open the scoring early in the third as Robbie McNarty got his 13th of the playoffs on a power play, and the attack were within 1 goal with plenty of time to play. The drama and excitement were back for the next 12 minutes, Owen Sound trying desperately to tie the game. At the 11-minute mark, Owen Sound had the Majors hemmed in the St. Mike's end, but a turnover gave Justin Shug a breakaway, and Shug, who was in his 3rd OHL final, made no mistake beating Stager to score the backbreaker and give St. Mike's a 5-3 lead. Then the drama was replaced by controversy as all hell broke loose. Late in the game, attack forward Andrew Shaw was fouled, and while play continued on the delayed penalty, he was fouled again while down by his series rival, Rob Flick of the Majors. In the ensuing scuffle, Shaw fought his way up from the ice and fired a punch at the first Major he could find. Chris D'Souza, who was engaged with another member of the attack at the time, was defenseless for the blow from Shaw, which dropped D'Souza and left him with a nasty shiner. Shaw was ejected from the contest, destined to be suspended for the remainder of the series. Smith Pelly would complete his hat trick with 2 power play goals, making the final in Game 5 a convincing 7-3 win for St. Mike's. In the news conference that followed Game 5, attack coach Mark Reeds fielded questions about his goaltending, no one sensing the dramatic alteration he was about to enact. Meanwhile, on the other side of the conference, an agitated Majors coach Dave Cameron was in a turbulent state. He condemned the attack without naming Shaw for what he saw as a cowardly act.
Did you feel like they were trying to provoke you guys at all at the end of that game?
They've done a lot of BS the whole series. They're either diving or complaining. And you got a kid that's been diving the whole series, goes up and just takes the cheapest shot possible. And a comment.
Cameron also had derisive comments for the attack, without naming Daniel Zweep by name, for an attempt by Zweep in a rare shift to engage Jamie Wise of the Majors in a fight. St. Mike's had the series lead 3-2, needing just 1 win to clinch their first OHL title, yet Coach Cameron looked far from happy, which set the stage for another dramatic and emotional match back in Owen Sound on Thursday, May the 11th. Robertson Cup Game 6 was played in front of a packed house at the J.D. MacArthur Arena. The attendance was listed at 3,200, but in truth, the crowd was at least 10% larger than that. The Majors took to the ice knowing they could clinch the title, while the attack, who had been thumped on the scoreboard and ripped in the post-game news conference following Game 5, knew they had to win to stay alive and send the series back to Mississauga for a 7th and deciding game. In order to tie the series, the attack put their faith in 17-year-old netminder Jordan Binnington, who had not seen action since Game 4 of the London series in the first round, almost 45 days between starting assignments. Owen Sound also had to play without spark plug Andrew Shaw. He was suspended for 2 games for the sucker punch he delivered on Chris D'Souza in Game 5. The Majors were at full strength, albeit a little lighter financially, since the Mississauga club was fined by the OHL for Coach Dave Cameron's remarks in the Game 5 post-game news conference. The game was exceptionally tentative in the first period, almost 15 minutes old before Binnington was beaten by Max Kitson, giving the Majors a 1-0 lead, a lead they held to the end of the period. As St. Mike's left the ice, the pro-Owen Sound crowd began chirping, heckling, and yelling derisively at Majors coach Dave Cameron, voicing their displeasure at his displeasure exhibited following Game 5. In the second period, the attack tied the game at 1 on a power play. Garrett Wilson sinking his 11th of the playoffs from Joey Hishin and Matt Stanish at 9:48. 7 minutes later, a rare defensive miscue by the Majors saw them first turn the puck over on the right wing boards in their end, all the while leaving attack sniper Joey Hishin alone in front of netminder J.P. Anderson. Hishin, waiting in front, took a pass and managed to dangle the puck around, through, and finally by Anderson, and the attack had a lead, 2-1 going to the third period. This time, as Majors coach Cameron departed the ice surface, the crowd was in an uproar, making twice the noise of the first intermission. One fan throwing money at Cameron, who kept his head down through the din and calmly exited the ice surface. 7 minutes into the third period, Jeffrey Shemitz, who had scored his only goal of the season to open the regular season for the Attack at Guelph 9 months earlier, scored again, and the Attack had a 2-goal lead to nurse down the stretch. Binnington did his best to hold the fort, but the Majors' Devontae Smith-Pelly scored with 70 seconds to play to pull St. Mike's to within 1, and the drama heightened. The Majors could not get the equalizer, and the Harry Lumley Bayshore shook with celebration.
Game 7 coming up Sunday in Mississauga.
As the Attack gathered at center ice to salute the crowd poured out their emotions vocally and turned their attention to the upcoming 7th and deciding game set for the Hershey Center just 3 days away. In the post-game news conference, a respectful Dave Cameron was asked if the noise level in the building had a negative impact on his coaching ability, in particular when he called a timeout late in the game.
No, not at all, but I will say this, as much as I make my living in this game, I've always been a fan of this game, and I think this is what junior hockey is about. It's your small towns. It's a building on Thursday night that's sold out. They're not sitting on their hands. They're in. It's a great atmosphere, and you have a rink like this, and you win the Niagara, the same thing. To me, that's what junior hockey is about, and personally, I love it.
Cameron finished by making reference to the reception he got from the Owen Sound crowd as he departed after the second period of play.
And I want to thank them. They gave me $6 to pay towards my fine coming off the ice. They threw some money at me, so I want to thank the people of Owen Sound for that.
And all that remained in the Ontario Hockey League season was Game 7 for the Robertson Cup at the Hershey Center in Mississauga. Game 7 for the Ontario Hockey League title was almost magical in the build-up prior to the dropping of the puck. It was a must-see event, especially for those from Owen Sound, Grey and Bruce. Try as they might since 1998, the clubs in Mississauga and Brampton have never created a fan base that would fill their own home buildings to the level of capacity seen in Owen Sound during these playoffs. With seats available, Attack fans took full advantage and bought up every available ticket for the road game. Highly motivated by the turnout, the Attack started well. 4 minutes into the game, a possessed Joey Hishin operated as if the puck was nailed to his stick, weaving right through the Majors, the Owen Sound boosters imploring him to shoot. The eventual shot by Hishin was in fact a pass into the crease for Michael Halmo, who was tied up by the Majors checkers. But Hishin, who was absolutely buzzing with energy, retrieved the puck again and got it to the point to overage Matt Stanish. Stanish fired a low shot that Halmo redirected by J.P. Anderson, and the Attack had the all-important 1-0 lead. The building exploded. That lead stood for all of 3 minutes when the Majors would tie it. Good work along the boards led to a wild centering pass by Chris D'Souza that slid right through Binnington's crease. Though the puck slid into the corner, it caromed to Majors defender Stuart Percy, who was having a very steady playoff run for St. Mike's. Percy would fake Liam Heelis to the ice, moved outside, and used Jeffrey Shemitz as a screen and beat Binnington to make it 1-1, 7 minutes into Game 7. This frantic pace continued. 5 minutes later, the Attack would regain the lead. St. Mike's had pressure in the Owen Sound end when their overage, Mark Canton, took a shot pass that everyone missed. It bounced out of the corner and was gobbled up by Owen Sound's underage, Jared Maidens. Maidens would carry the puck up the left side and made a pass attempt to Cameron Brace. However, the Maidens' pass was behind Brace and slid, seemingly harmlessly, to the right wing boards, but Liam Heelis would hustle to pick it up. After passing to start the play, Maidens broke to the St. Mike's net and was on the doorstep as Heelis put it towards the net, striking both Brace and Dylan DeMello of the Majors before landing right on the stick of Maidens, who would knock in his 5th of the playoffs, restoring the Owen Sound lead, making it 2-1. Penalties had been an issue for the Attack throughout the series. At the 13-minute mark, Jay Gilbert was fingered for high sticking and sat in the box as the Majors' power play cranked it up. However, on a rare St. Mike's miscue, they turned the puck over to Attack captain Garrett Wilson. Wilson would go up the ice on a 2-on-1 with Hishin. Patiently waiting, Wilson then threaded a perfect pass to the crafty Hishin, who was in all alone. However, Anderson in the St. Mike's goal was craftier and quicker, using a poke check to knock the puck off Hishin's stick and prevent Owen Sound from grabbing a 2-goal lead. After gaining territory back in the Owen Sound end, Michael Dorazio, ironically a first-round draft pick of the Attack in 2006, took a shot that was blocked by Jesse Blacker. The force of the shot broke Blacker's stick in the process, making it essentially a 5-on-3 advantage now for St. Mike's. The Majors worked the puck back to Dorazio again. This time, Dorazio fakes and then passed to Jordan Mayer, who tied the game with an accurate wrist shot, making it 2-2. The tie remained for an extended period of time. That's not to say there weren't exciting moments. Late in the second period, Michael Halmo broke away on a 2-on-1 with St. Mike's Devontae Smith-Pelly chugging hard in pursuit. Smith-Pelly would catch Halmo, who tucked the Majors' forward stick under his arm, and instead of a 2-on-1, Halmo was on a solo rush to the penalty box. With under 10 minutes to play, Liam Heelis would go down the right side for Owen Sound. He made a nifty toe drag and moved the puck to Cameron Brace, who just missed scoring another decisive goal in this series. The ensuing sequence gave Matt Petgrave another chance for Owen Sound, but Anderson stood tall, denying it, keeping it 2-2. In the final 4 minutes of play, the Majors pressed, getting great chances. Justin Shug with a backhand try. Corey Bureau trying to bang one in on the doorstep. Petgrave blocking Max Kitson on a 2-on-1. Then in the final minute, on the final thrust, Smith-Pelly got a tight chance, and Rob Flick had a last attempt in regulation with just 1 second remaining.
Graves, 6 seconds to go, turns it over. Rob Flick now throws it side of the net, takes a bounce in front, and it's on the goal line. Puck is loose, but the whistle is blown with .1 remaining on the clock. Overtime coming.
The throng of Attack fans, estimated to be as many as 3,000 in the building, went up and down with each rush. And to their credit, the fans rooting for the Majors did their very best to be every bit as vocal as the Attack supporters. The Hershey Center rocked until the buzzer sent the teams to overtime to decide the OHL Championship. Game 7, in overtime, for the OHL Championship. Can it get any bigger in junior hockey than that? There were no glorious chances for either team as the overtime period commenced. 3 minutes into the extra session, the Majors defender knocked the puck out of play, and the Attack made a plea for a delay of game penalty for the Majors and a power play opportunity for the Attack. The officiating staff had a brief conversation as to whether or not a penalty should be called on St. Mike's, and while a penalty call was not forthcoming, the faceoff was slotted in the Majors' end to the left of Mississauga netminder J.P. Anderson.
As you just mentioned, a one-goal championship win, and one goal will decide this championship as well. Brace centers in front, no shot, they score! The Owen Sound attack of Ontario Hockey League champions! They come back from 2-0 down in the series to win it 3-2 in overtime. Do you believe in Owen Sound?
First of all, congratulations on the overtime winner. Can you give me a description of that goal?
Thanks a lot. And yeah, you know, Brace kind of got a handle on the puck, and it just came out in front of there. I just tried to get a stick on it, slowly went in the net, and just watching it going was just greatest feeling.
How slow did that puck go into the net?
Oh, I swear, time slowed down. I think it took forever, but once it crossed the line, the guys, greatest feeling.
It's a remarkable feeling to have got here and see that fan base and to feel the energy in the building, and then to have it all pay off like that. It is an amazing feeling.
In my heart, like, I knew we were going to win because they are a team. There's no I in team, and that's what they are. They're 4 lines, and they all play with heart.
Unbelievable feeling. I mean, it's to win with this group of guys. It's just so special, and I mean, we did it. We finally did it.
There can only be one winner. It's overtime of Game 7. Joy in Owen Sound. Heartbreak tonight in Mississauga without any question, as the fans look on and the players shake their hands. Mark Reeves, Coach of the Year, did a fabulous job keeping his team prepared in this series, as did Dave Cameron. But the Owen Sound Attack and their fans celebrate the Majors and their fans, and J.P. Anderson's face says it all.
jubilation. How about that? What a wonderful moment for the Owen Sound attack. Their franchise, their fans. If there's such a thing as a small market in the OHL, that's Owen Sound. They earned it. They worked hard, they battled, as you said, back from a 2-0 series deficit and are full value. But overtime of Game 7, it could have went either way. You can only have one champion, and there they are.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'm sure everyone here would agree this has been an outstanding OHL Rogers Championship Series. What a special moment for a young player by the name of Jared Maidens to score in overtime. Last year, he was at the Hershey Center playing in the OHL Cup. So quite a development here, Jared. Going back to 1999, arguably the greatest hockey player ever to play our game retired. And the Ontario Hockey League, in wishing to recognize Wayne Gretzky, former Sault Ste. Marie Greyhound, created the Wayne Gretzky 99 Award to be presented annually to the playoff MVP. This year, it goes to a young man who had an incredible 15 goals, 9 assists in just 22 games. Robbie McNarty.
Mr. Branch, and congratulations to Robbie McNarty. The Robertson Cup is awarded annually to the champion of the Ontario Hockey League. The cup was presented in 1910 by J. Ross Robertson, who was president of the Ontario Hockey Association from 1901 to 1905. Tonight marks the 101st time that the Robertson Cup has been awarded for junior hockey supremacy here in Ontario. Commissioner David Branch will now present the Robertson Cup to Garrett Wilson, captain of the 2011 OHL champion, Owen Sound Attack.
Just before handing it over to Garrett, I would like to, first of all, welcome you all back for the MasterCard Memorial Cup starting Friday. It's going to be an outstanding event. You know, you cannot underestimate or overstate what the Owen Sound Attack has accomplished this year. In size, the smallest community. In heart, the biggest. To the ownership group, led by Peter and Paul McDermott, Faye Harshman, Dr. Bob Severs, Frank Coulter, you were tough. You made it work. We're so happy for the work you've done. And led by Dale DeGray and his management team and head coach Mark Reeds, congratulations, all the players.
Where were you when the winning goal went in, and what did it feel like?
Well, I was down at the far blue line at the other end. I couldn't see it real good, but I sure seen the crowd go up, and everybody from Owen Sound just lit the place up. It was awesome.
I couldn't believe it. Bob Severs was behind me, Dr. Severs, and I said, I just kept screaming, I don't believe it, I don't believe it. It was on Jared Maiden's stick, and I knew that, and then all of a sudden the thing slid in the net. And it was like this time lapse in my head. I thought, how did that get from the front of the net and into the corner of the net? You know, what was that? I've got to watch this play again. I've got to get a replay.
And it was almost surreal watching that puck slide across the net into the goal. I was down in that corner, and it was just almost like time stopped for that brief second.
It was very, very exciting, and it just made us all so proud.
I was in the end zone, and it was right below me, and I watched the puck just trickle across the line, and I couldn't believe it. I was just stunned, and then the place just erupted, and it was like our home team down there anyways with all the fans. So we had 3,500 out of 5,700 seats, and it was just pandemonium for the next 15 minutes.
We couldn't believe it. Did we do it? Did we really do it? This is it. We've got a championship. Wow. Unbelievable. Everybody in that room was speechless. It was great.
It was wonderful experience to feel that we were not second best, we were first best. We were the best.
The ride home was pretty good. The reception on so many people out and coming home, people out on the street and the roads, and the fans that came out here, it was just amazing.
moment of the season, probably just beating London the first round in their rink because, I mean, basically we did a whole lot to get to that point, but that was kind of the hump we had to get over. And maybe we had to get a little bit more confidence. And we played a good series, but the last 2 games they really stepped up, and that, I think, pushed us right through almost to the 3rd round.
My favorite moment of the year was definitely winning Game 7 of the OHL Finals in overtime when Jared Maidens popped that goal, and I was on the ice, and it was the most surreal, euphoric feeling I've ever had in my life. It was incredible, absolutely incredible. There's not even words to describe it.
You can't look past the fact that winning the OHL Championship would be obviously the favorite moment. Being able to throw off your gloves and helmet like you did in minor hockey again was an unbelievable feeling.
Yeah, the puck going in Game 7. Verts grabbed me and picked me up, and that was pretty special. Yeah.
It was a great year, and it's a great way to end your career like that. And I'm never going to forget the boys in this room. Everyone's been great, and it's really going to be. I'm really going to miss them.
Obviously, it was a great year, and I wish the Owen Sound Attack continued success.
Congratulations to our final team to be inducted, the 2011 Ontario Hockey League champions, the Owen Sound Attack. Owen Sound became the home of the Ontario Hockey League Platers in 1989 when the franchise departed Guelph. In 2000, a group of local owners with the backing of fan support purchased the team and prevented it from relocating to Cornwall. A decade later, in 2010-11, the team had a season for the ages. Under coach Mark Reeds, they finished first in the Western Conference with 46 wins. In the playoffs, Owen Sound outlasted London in 6 games, swept Plymouth in 4 games, and then eliminated the 2-time defending Memorial Cup champion Windsor Spitfires in 5 games to claim the Western Conference title. In the OHL Final for the J. Ross Robertson Cup, the Attack were pitted against the favored Mississauga St. Michael's Majors, who took the opening 2 games in somewhat convincing fashion. Undaunted, Owen Sound rebounded with overtime victories in both Games 3 and 4 to tie the series. Mississauga regained the series lead with a victory in Game 5, but in front of a roaring crowd at the Harry Lumley Bayshore, Owen Sound tied the series with a narrow 3-2 win in Game 6. That set the stage for a memorable Sunday at the Hershey Center in Mississauga, which became known as the Bayshore South since 3,000 Owen Sounders made the trip down to Mississauga for Game 7. The deciding game went to overtime before Jared Maidens would score the game-winning goal just 3.5 minutes into the extra frame. That goal touched off hours of celebrations starting in Mississauga, continuing up Highway 10, and climaxing with a quickly arranged reception on the ice at the Bayshore. A week later, Owen Sound went back to Mississauga for the Memorial Cup, but injuries took their toll, and the Attack were eliminated in the tiebreaker game, halting the most memorable OHL season in the city to this point. The 2010-11 Owen Sound attack consisted of head coach Mark Reed, assistant Terry Virtue, and athletic therapist Andy Brown. Their forwards were Roman Berdnikov, Jamel Smith, Robbie McNarty, Cameron Brace, Andrew Shaw, Garrett Wilson, Joey Hishin, Andrew Fridge, Brendan Childerley, Daniel Zweep, Mike Halmo, Curtis Gabriel, Liam Heelis, and Jared Maidens. On defense, Keevan Cutting, Jay Gilbert, Braden Rose, Jesse Blacker, Matt Petgrave, Matt Stanish, Jeffrey Shemich, and Greg Stagger. Goaltenders were Scott Stager, Jordan Bennington, and Michael Zador. The 2011 OHL champion Owen Sound attack.
Well, thank you to everybody for coming, and it's just a great thrill for the organization. We specifically want to thank Bill Murdoch for making the nomination, and to Dave Barber and his team for bestowing this incredible honor on the team. We want to acknowledge all of the wonderful athletes, teams, and builders who join us in entering the hall tonight, and recognize all the remarkable people who have entered the hall before us. It's such an honor to perhaps be even mentioned in the same sentence as many of these great people. It's really quite humbling. It takes a multitude of dedicated people to win a championship. I want to take a couple of minutes to acknowledge everybody that was involved. I want to thank the guys who've come from really a long way and taken time out of their very busy lives to come back and to celebrate with us. So thanks all to the guys. In front of you, looking older, more mature, more experienced, are Jordan Bennington, Curtis Gabriel, Jay Gilbert, Liam Heelis, Joey Hishin, our OT scoring hero, Jared Maidens, 2011 playoff MVP, Rob McNarty, Matt Petgrave, Jeffrey Shemich, Scott Stager, and Danny Sweet. So. Fred gave you the names of the other guys. I want you to know that every one of them made contact with me to send their regrets that they were not able to come. But I want to specifically recognize Captain Garrett Wilson, who remains with the Pittsburgh Penguins in their hunt for the Cup. Andrew Shaw, who had every intention of being here, emailing me at least a dozen times, and then unfortunately had to undergo surgery on April 25th. And when I talked to him on Wednesday, he still was not out of bed, so he was thinking that the 4-hour drive maybe wasn't going to be a good idea. And Mike Halmo, who is fresh off an Austrian Pro League championship and was very disappointed not to be here. I want to acknowledge the parents who have come tonight to join their sons here, and of course the incredible billets. Even Liam Heelis's billets from Peterborough are here tonight. So. As I said, it takes a huge number of people to make something like this happen, and winning it all is not easy. I want to recognize my fellow owners, Faye Harshman, Paul McDermott, and Peter McDermott. And representing Frank Coulter, we're so happy to have Sharon Coulter here tonight. Yes. General Manager and member of the Oshawa Sports Hall of Fame as well, Dale DeGray. It's a very special thing. Representing Coach Mark Reeds is Mary Reeds, all the way here from St. Louis. And occupying about one half of the building is the rest of Mark's family at the back. Goaltending coach Greg Redquist, trainer Andy Brown, and equipment manager Gary Brennan, statistician and video magician Ryan Manley. Unable to be with us tonight, but we recognize them, lead scouts Ian McClellan, Brian Denny, and their staff. Our incredible educational consultant, Sarah Rao, physician Cam Tweedy, and our dentist, Sean Stewart. Announcer, Announcer Fred Wallace, who Fred's been doing this from day one with the franchise, and he's an amazing guy. In-crowd announcer, In-crowd announcer Dave Middleton, long-time team photographer John Carrick, and our office staff who were back, who were doing it all at that time, Ray McKelvey, Leanne O'Leary, Brent Fisher, who called me tonight and said that his babysitter fell through and he has his kids at home. Administrative assistant Larissa Blue, and back to join us tonight is Jeanette Scott. Briefly in closing, I want to say with the tragedy in Humboldt, Saskatchewan, we've seen in a sobering and dramatic way how a junior hockey team becomes an integral part of the fabric of a small town. Its character woven deep into the soul of its community, and the core values of the community a driving force for that team. Over the years, the Attack franchise has been on a journey that has seen us adopt the character of our community: strong, hardworking, relentless, and accountable. That's Owen Sound. To be now forever written into the history of sport here in the Sound seems like the culmination of that journey. Once again, I want to thank everybody who helped make this evening happen for us. Thank you.
Liam, how are you? Daniel? Hi, how are you? Hi, Jared. How you doing? Nice to see you. Hi, Jeff. Jay, how you doing?
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.